Welcome to the Gravtek Garage. It's my humble little tiny home, away from home or underneath the home. But yeah, I just wanted to share some of my experiences with fixing up this 2003 Triumph Sprint ST for sport touring. It's been a really great bike. The 3 cylinders gives that awesome low end torque like a V-twin, but you also get the higher RPMs and revs like an inline 4. So it's been a pretty big blast to ride, but there's a lot of cracks in the plastic, and I hate plastics. But you know, c'est la vie. I don't have the money or time to make this non-plasticky. But yeah, I'm just trying to get in and fix a gas gauge issue. I got it throwing codes at me, and I'm trying to check the harness because it's saying it's grounding or shorting out. There's other various issues, but so far it's just a stock 2003 Triumph Sprint. Got for $1,700. It was a pretty good deal because I have paperwork up to like 6 to 8 months before I bought it. There's like easily $4,000 worth of work that was put into it. And somebody just got it for a project bike and didn't have time, didn't have space in their garage, and I needed a new motorcycle. Had it for 4 or 5 years now, but I've been just thinking that instead of posting pictures and stuff like that on a very isolated platform in a lot of ways, I wanted to reach out to everyone here who's interested in Triumph motorcycles, and especially Triumph Sprint motorcycles. I've read about the RS. I like the sporty aspect of it, but I like the sport touring because you're a little bit more upright. I've been thinking about getting lifters right here, basically to just sit me more upright in a comfortable position for long rides, you know, with me and my girlfriend, so that you don't get that wrist fatigue, you know, what they call hand pump, wrist pump, can't remember. But it came with an aftermarket shock, which has a canister mounted underneath the seat. I'll get different angles here soon. Currently I do have the side fairing or the rear pieces of plastic off. Didn't come with any of the side actual body fairings. I'll go into just some of the plastics over there. Also here at the Gravtek Garage, for the last 10 years I've been slowly restoring and rescuing a 1989 Honda Prelude 4-wheel steering. There's nothing better in my opinion than this mechanical 4-wheel steering setup, but that in itself is other videos, and I hope that I can provide information that'll help out other lute enthusiasts. Since I've been going through this thing from head to toe, just keeping it alive. Just don't want the technology to be forgotten. The 4-wheel steering system in itself just tracks the car like it's on rails. Like there's less body roll, there's like various different elements in the way it helps the car handle itself and the road. And one reason why I love it so much is because it rides like a motorcycle. Hugs those corners, you know, it just scoots through anything. But we'll get into that more later. I definitely did quite a bit of reading, and I want to make sure that I provide more of a concise, more of a chronological element of the Prelude itself, because there's a lot of people who have had questions, and I've watched other videos. But there have been things in the videos that haven't been addressed as to, like, say, why the technology didn't catch on, why the Prelude's ahead of its time with this 4-wheel steering system. And yeah, there's a lot more to it, but we'll just make sure we get into working with this Triumph. As you can see here, just move this over really fast. as you can see here, I've cut into the wire harness casing just a little bit because I gotta check this gas gauge plug. And as we have over here, I've had to take apart the actual gauge itself and refix it because the old glue is being worn down by the gas, and I wanted to actually get a marine glue in there, or a marine epoxy that is chemical and petrol resistant. That's definitely important. Right now, just using a number 2 pencil. It's the most effective use I've gotten out of a number 2 pencil. You know, but that's a whole different story in itself. Everybody hates tests. Anyway, that's just keeping the gas from slowly draining out of this overflow line. And I've got to look into, you know, what other leads I need, because the bike itself came with certain things disconnected. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to see if I can set this camera up. All of this is new to me. I really haven't put myself out there and tried to speak and do videos and stuff, but I feel like I've been doing a lot of really cool things, and I just don't want it to be lost. Don't want my experience to not help anybody else. So gonna try to fix things, and I'll learn, and maybe you'll learn, and maybe we'll both learn, and maybe we can all help each other out, but that's a different story. Anyway, let's see if we can start getting into it. So one thing that I didn't totally like in this setup right now is how the harness itself can be affected by disconnecting these lines in the gas that can drain. So I found that you have to be careful, because just the way it was wrapped and these 2 wires sticking out, and just the spot of where it is, it literally just it like will just drip out and like fall right into this like opening right here. So I broke the casing open here, cut into it kind of like surgery style, because I feel like I'm dealing with a body of nerves. But at least if I make a failure, I'm not ending a life, just creating a problem and a misfunction. But I wanted to check the wiring. Wanted to make sure that we had just that the gas wasn't affecting anything more than the tape, you know, that has been wrapped on these wires and stuff. I may actually take the harness out to just recheck it and rewrap it, because it's definitely got some age on it. But right now, that's definitely not a priority. It's just making sure that the petrol didn't degrade anything, because I got a shorter ground when I fixed the sensor and I reinstalled it. I put a continuity tester on it, and you know, with my digital multimeter, and it was giving me a full on at the very top, you know, with the way it works, and I was getting variable. It's hard to explain, because you either have an on or off in a circuit, but sometimes because of the way certain resistances work, the continuity detector will give you a number feed. I've got to read up into that more. Been just trying to put more use in the meter itself, and trying to apply various electronic skills that I've been working to develop over the years. But right now, I had other codes. I've been using Tune ECU. Tune ECU has actually been really great. It looks like they kind of stopped production on it. I don't think anybody else is providing any more tunes or custom maps. I do have a stock muffler. I was going to do a new map, but with the stock muffler, it's doing fine, and I kind of like the way it does its little pops when you're deaccelerating from higher RPMs. You know, it gives character to the bike. The bike itself is aged. It's up at what, 69,000? Oh crap! Got the battery disconnected. Anyway, yeah, it's up at about 69,000. I basically, at one point, I do have a desire to just get in there, you know, check the valves, reseat everything, and fix the rings. And I do have some blow-by. Let's bring the camera over here. I do have some blow-by that comes out of the crankcase hose right here. Some of the blow-by, I got some water mixing with some oil in this part of the engine, and it's blowing out up into the airbox here. And the airbox is capturing it and holding on to it, and it has these channels that rise itself up from the bottom, so none of it's getting sucked back into the engine. I've got pictures of that, but if I get the box open, I can show you. But right now, just worn rings, some extra blow-by, and some water mixing right here in the crankcase exhaust. It's not getting into the main oil, which is really nice. And so far, it seems like I clean the box, I don't know, every 8 months minimum to a year, and there's not a lot that gets in there, but I just don't like that I've got that cream coffee look anywhere in the bike. There's other concerns. Right now it's just basically just getting this back together, because somebody definitely smacked the bike really hard at one point, and you know, put that in the side. I've laid it down, just minor things, you know, little rookie moves at slow speeds and stuff like that. I laid my last bike, my first bike, down at 35 miles an hour, 30, yeah, I'd say 30. I was around a corner, and it was a low speed slide. I probably only slid like 12 feet, but probably 12 or 15, but that's still enough to just, you know, just to know you're going around that blind corner and you're not, you know, judging the bike's traction well enough. And I had too much loaded on the back, and I just back end went out, and I got lucky because there was nobody else coming around the corner on the road. That was a big one. So laying this bike down, not laying this bike down has been my biggest, my highest priority. Obviously, it's everybody's highest priority, but I just don't have enough money to replace anything. So, you know, as they say, you know, ride to live, live to ride. But yeah, let's get to it more. I kind of wanted to drain the gas tank and recheck the gauge, because it didn't seem like it's gauging, but when I pulled the tank off, it's definitely mostly full. So I'm just sure the float didn't go down enough. There's actually various there's actually various magnetic relays inside that gas gauge. It's a big tube with a circuit board that has 20 to 30 magnetic relays that run down the length of the tube with resistance in the past. Resistors are just, you know, variables that tell the computer at which level the gas is resting via which magnetic relay is open, of course. Pretty basic electronic stuff. I did have a charging issue. It's really weird, but it's probably not the first time anybody's dealt with it. But I had to rewire my stator and everything. Had to hardwire everything together because it melted at the connector, and I believe it did that because it did that, pretty sure from what I read, is that you'll get one connector that's loose just enough to create arcing that heats up that one wire, and then it melts. It melts everything, or it melts all the wires together. So let me grab that. So one melted connector right at the plug. Like I tested the stator. It's all got all the coils got the same ohm. which is 4 ohms of resistance. They're not testing to ground, and when I turned on the bike and tested the AC, it tested 24 volts at, it was probably about 24 volts at 1500, 2000 RPMs. So yeah, I tested the stator. Everything was testing out. All coils were separated. They weren't grounding out to the core. All coils tested at 4 ohms consistently, and when I disconnected it and tested the wires directly, when the bike was idling about 1700 RPMs in the beginning, you know, when it's first warming up, I was getting 24 volts easy. I'm still concerned. I'm still concerned that there's a charging issue with the stator and possibly the regulator rectifier, the RR as they call it. I did get the new MOSFET one just so it handles that electricity better. The MOSFET itself just, you know, works with bridging that current a lot more smoother. There's less heating because you don't have to shunt that. You don't have to send half of that freaking power to somewhere else or ground it out. So more efficient, basically. Shouldn't have an RR issue when the plug melted. Yeah, I'm still getting used to this. Trying to get comfortable with speaking in front of a camera. Trying to make sure I'm not too much of a drone tone. Because I noticed that I kind of get a little bit dragged down, overwhelmed about things, but that's a whole different story. Right now, shouldn't have any issues with the rectifier regulator. Currently, I took the moment to just grab the plug and show you guys that it just was really melted right there at the plug. None of the other wires were affected. None of the wires on the regulator rectifier or RR were affected. And because, you know, the order of wiring, from what I gather, because there's no labeling and stuff like that, there's no sequential order. So I double checked that, did some research on the internet, and no sequential order. So wired it up, and everything's testing out and getting that 13.6 volts on the battery, which seems decent. We should basically be able to keep it charged. I don't know, like I've just got to keep an eye on it. And I got this right here, this Type S 10,000 milliamps or 10 amps. It's a jump pack right here that I keep under the seat. Got it from Costco, which is a really great deal, especially since I had an 8,000 milliamp that was working well, but it just, you know, it had some quirks in it, and after I don't know, 6 to 8 months, it didn't seem to give more than 1 or 2 jumps, and I was able to just kind of get it back to Costco and be able to still invest in this what is it, Winrow, or I can't remember. It's just the just call it the Type S. It's kind of nice. 10,000 milliamps, USB-C, micro USB, and USB-A with jump and emergency light. It's a pretty sweet deal for 60 bucks. Cannot complain, and it just makes sure if I do have an issue with the bike charging the battery, at least the bike runs if I can get the bike started. So jump pack ensures that if somehow it dies on me while I'm out and about, I can just get home. That's the most important thing, right? Let's see. Yeah, I'd like to sit here and reflect on a lot of things and kind of go over, because, you know, I'm catching up. This is like a video that, you know, has repairs in it after I've done a lot of repairs on the bike. So I've gotten myself fairly familiar with the bike already. I just want to get some more of that Triumph info out there, because it's my first Triumph. My dad always really talked and gave good word about Triumphs, and he still hopes to own his own, was it a Bonneville? Yeah, a lot of it's new, but the 3 cylinders, big thing that really like affected my opinion on Triumphs. I really love the 3. It's not 2, it's not 4. It's got that low end torque, like I said before, and the high RPMs, and, you know, 2 flicks of the throttle and you're in the triple digits if you're not careful. So you're definitely not a beginner's bike. Not a beginner's bike. but it's been for just kind of a serendipitous grab from the Bay Area. It's been a blast to ride. It's 515, 530 pounds. You know, find the technical stuff like that later, but it for how high it can sit and for how much it does weigh, the thing just balances really well, and it seems to dance and move with you really well. And I like how wide the handlebar setup is. It definitely gives you a much more better feel of control through the corners. Nice big wide tire on the back there with a single swing arm. I gotta get the 46 millimeter nut to adjust this thing properly so I don't mess it up using a pipe wrench like I did last time. Got it torqued to specs, but just, you know, that pipe wrench was something else. That's all down the line. Definitely got to get a new tire. It's doing okay. I don't have any threads showing, and still got some corners to lean into and stuff, and you know, but that's the next step. Gonna be getting that. So far I've been running these Shinkos. Been running those Shinkos. They're Shinkos, and I kind of like them because they've got that grippier. So it's layered, so it's like, you know, softer on the outsides and harder on the inside, so it wears more evenly, which is nice. Yeah, there's quite a bit to it, but, you know, I'm going to stop yammering and just get us back to work. I also put my watch on because my phone right now only does 10-minute segments, so I needed to make sure that I'm not freaking losing stuff as I'm making it and just having to redo it, which is a real pain in the ass. Excuse my language. Do I have to bleep that out? Anyway, yeah. Let's get her going. Don't know what else I can say. If you have any questions, you know, I've been riding this thing for a few years, been wrenching on it, been, you know, just been trying to keep it in operational order. And right now, one of the things I'm concerned about is I got this crack right up here in the reservoir. I may try to take that marine epoxy to it, but it's literally just holding on right on the top there and stuff. At least I'm not going to use it on the road because it's attached to a hose. But yeah, I've been doing these little mirrors. These are great. These save me every time. I always check them first. Check them first, check this last. But I was wondering, like, I thought I should have put them on the inside, but I didn't listen to myself. I put them on the outside, and it just blocks what you can see on the road, and I was worried that I wanted to see more clearly what was closer behind me, but I found I just see most of my arm. So honestly, I've got to get some double-sided tape, and I've got to basically just pop these back off and reseat them in there so that I can see the road more appropriately. So if you're going to get the little dome mirrors, just make sure you put them closer to the inside, because that part is just capturing your arm, and you're going to want to be able, you'll still be able to see your blind spots, and you'll be able to get a better feel of what's going on the outside. I would like to get new mirrors right now, because I fixed this one. Everything's so solid, like this is now shaky. So you fix one thing and you find another thing starts, you know, bothering you, because, you know, the other thing's not bothering you. The worst one's not bothering you. So it's kind of like this, you don't want to do catastrophic maintenance. Honestly, that's the worst. You know, when you're dealing with industrial robotics, when you're dealing with machines, heavy machinery, you don't want catastrophic repairs. You obviously want to do what's called preventative maintenance, but that's a whole different story. That's just some knowledge from some of the classes I've taken. Because I finally made it out, at least to junior college, and came out with some machining certification and a manufacturing technology degree, which has been really nice. Got a couple other degrees from there, but that's a whole different story, a whole different life story. Don't need to hear too much about my personal life, but it has made a major difference in the last like 6 years since I started, because I came out with 3 majors. That's a whole side note and a struggle in itself, but trying to just do one program and dealing with 3 different counselors, you suddenly find that you're only this way from that, or you're only a little bit away from that, and you just take a couple classes and you're majoring in other things. But yeah, let's stop yammering and get to work. Let me check my phone. All right. Yeah, that's good. So at this point, I need to get the voltmeter and I need to break into this harness a little bit more and at least check both lines and make sure they're not grounding to the frame or grounding to the ground source in here. I've tracked down a service manual that I do have on my other device, but I do need to get it on the tablet so I can start going through it. It's got the circuit diagrams and things like that, so I can get used to where my bike is grounding itself on the different points, because one thing I learned from Hermes here is that don't underestimate your ground points. Don't at all ever underestimate your ground points. And we'll go over a little bit more of that later. So yeah, let's get to work.